The pounding on my door at midnight sent my heart racing. Standing there in the pouring rain was my boss, Eliza Montgomery, the woman who could fire me with a snap of her fingers, the woman whose approval I desperately needed to keep providing for my daughter. Her eyes were red, mascara streaked down her face. "I heard what you said today," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Say it again," while looking at me. Hey everyone, if you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Your support means everything. My name is Daniel Carter, and 6 months ago, I became both mom and dad to my 5-year-old daughter, Lily. My wife, Sarah, Lily's mother, lost her battle with cancer after fighting for 3 long years. The medical bills had drained our savings, and I was left with a mountain of debt, a broken heart, and a little girl who still asked when mommy was coming home. I'd been working at Montgomery Publishing for nearly 8 years as a senior editor. It was a good job with decent pay, but after Sarah's passing, I needed more hours, more money, more everything just to stay afloat. When the position of chief content editor opened up, I knew I had to get it. The promotion would mean a 30% salary increase, enough to finally start paying down the debt and maybe even move us out of our cramped apartment into a small house with a yard where Lily could play. The only problem? Eliza Montgomery, Eliza had taken over as CEO from her father just 3 months before Sarah died. At 35, she was only a few years older than me, but worlds apart in every other way. Where I wore wrinkled button-downs and had permanent dark circles under my eyes, she glided through the office in tailored suits that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Her chestnut hair was always perfectly styled, her voice commanding without ever raising above a conversational tone. The entire office both feared and admired her. She had a reputation for being brilliant but cold. Ruthless in business decisions. Unmarried, childless, and seemingly married to her work. The rumor mill said she'd fired her own cousin for missing deadlines 3 times in a row. I had no idea if it was true, but I wasn't taking any chances. For the first few months after Sarah's death, I'd managed to keep it together at work. My colleagues were understanding, my direct supervisor flexible when I needed to leave early for Lily's school events or when she got sick. But Eliza Montgomery remained distant, offering only a formal condolence card signed with her perfect, looping signature. Then came the day everything started to change. It was a Tuesday in October. The babysitter called just as I was heading into an important editorial meeting. Lily had a fever of 102, and the school had called to have her picked up immediately. I texted my supervisor, grabbed my laptop, and was halfway to the elevator when Eliza stepped out of it. "Leaving early again, Mr. Carter?" Her voice was cool, one perfectly shaped eyebrow raised. "My daughter is sick," I explained, trying to keep the desperation from my voice. "I need to pick her up from school." Something flickered across her face. Annoyance? Disappointment? I couldn't tell. "This is the 3rd time this month." "I know, Ms. Montgomery. I'm sorry. I'll make up the hours tonight after she's asleep." She studied me for a long moment, her green eyes unreadable. "See that you do. The Pearson manuscript needs to be on my desk by morning." I nodded, swallowing hard. "It will be." That night, after giving Lily her medicine and tucking her in with her favorite stuffed elephant, I worked until 3 a.m. to finish the Pearson edits. I emailed the completed manuscript to Eliza with a brief apology for my early departure and collapsed into bed for 3 hours of sleep before I had to get up and do it all again the next morning. There was an email waiting for me from Eliza. My office. 9 a.m. My stomach dropped. This was it. I was going to be fired. How would I pay the rent? How would I afford Lily's asthma medication? The thoughts swirled in my head as I dropped Lily off at school, her fever gone, thankfully, and drove to the office with shaking hands. Eliza's office took up the corner of the top floor, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. I knocked softly on the open door. "Come in, Mr. Carter." She was standing by the window, her back to me, a cup of coffee in her hand. When she turned, I was surprised to see dark circles under her eyes, carefully concealed with makeup but visible up close. "Please, sit." I lowered myself into the chair across from her desk, preparing for the worst. "Your edits on the Pearson manuscript were excellent," she said, surprising me. "In fact, they were better than anything I've seen from you before." "Thank you," I said cautiously. She sat down, placing her coffee cup precisely on a coaster. "However, your attendance has become a problem." "Ms. Montgomery, I..." She held up a hand, silencing me. "Let me finish. I understand you're in a difficult situation. Single parenthood is challenging, I imagine." The way she said it made me wonder if she had any idea what my life was actually like. The constant juggling, the guilt, the exhaustion, the grief that still hit me like a physical blow at unexpected moments. "Yes, it is," I said simply. "The promotion you applied for, Chief Content Editor, requires someone who can be fully present. Dedicated. Available for evening events, weekend conferences when necessary." My heart sank. "I understand. Do you?" She leaned forward slightly. "Because I'm not sure you do. This company needs people who put it first." Something in me snapped. Maybe it was the lack of sleep, or the stress of the past 6 months, or just the cool dismissal in her voice. "With all due respect, Ms. Montgomery, my daughter will always come first. Always. I'm an excellent editor. I meet every deadline. I produce quality work. But if you're looking for someone who will choose this company over their child's well-being, then you're right, I'm not your person." I stood up, surprising myself with my boldness. "I'll have my resignation on your desk by the end of the day." Her eyes widened slightly, the first genuine expression of surprise I'd ever seen on her face. "That won't be necessary, Mr. Carter." "I think it is. I need a job that allows me to be both a provider and a father." I thought Montgomery Publishing could be that place, but clearly I was wrong. I turned to leave, my heart pounding. What had I just done? Daniel. It was the first time she'd ever used my first name. I stopped but didn't turn around. "Sit down. Please." Something in her voice made me turn back. She looked different somehow. Less the untouchable CEO and more human. "I didn't call you in here to fire you or reject your application," she said quietly. "I called you in to discuss a flexible work arrangement that would allow you to fulfill the role while accommodating your parental responsibilities." I slowly sat back down, confused. "I don't understand." She took a deep breath. "My father built this company while raising me alone after my mother died. He never missed a school play or a parent-teacher conference. He worked nights, early mornings, whatever it took. And he always told me that the company's greatest asset was its people, their talents, their dedication, their humanity." She looked down at her hands, then back up at me. "I haven't been honoring that legacy as I should. Your work is exceptional, Daniel. The company needs editors like you. So I'm offering you the promotion, with flexible hours and the option to work from home when necessary." I stared at her, speechless. "All I ask is transparency and communication. If you need to leave for your daughter, just let me know directly. No more sneaking out or apologetic emails at 3 a.m. Thank you," I managed to say. "That's incredibly generous." A small smile touched her lips. "It's not generosity. It's good business. Now, do you accept the position?" "Yes. Absolutely." "Good. We'll discuss the details tomorrow. For now, go home early. Your daughter might still need you." As I walked out of her office in a daze, I couldn't help but wonder what had prompted this unexpected side of Eliza Montgomery. The Ice Queen had shown a glimpse of warmth, and I didn't know what to make of it. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of adjustment. The promotion came with new responsibilities, but true to her word, Eliza created a schedule that worked around Lily's school hours. I could leave early on Tuesdays for Lily's dance class and work from home on Fridays. In return, I gave the job everything I had, often working late into the night after Lily was asleep. Gradually, I began to see a different side of Eliza. She wasn't cold, she was focused. She wasn't ruthless, she was decisive. And behind her professional exterior was a woman with a sharp wit and surprising kindness. One evening, as I was working late in the office, she stopped by my desk with 2 cups of coffee. "You're here late," she observed, placing 1 cup beside my keyboard. Lily had a play date after school. Her friend's mom dropped her off at 7, so I thought I'd stay and finish this. She nodded, leaning against my desk. "How is she doing?" "Your daughter?" The question surprised me. Eliza had never asked about Lily before. "She's adjusting. Some days are harder than others." She still asks about her mom. Eliza's expression softened. "I was 7 when my mother died. Car accident. I remember asking my father when she was coming home for months afterward. I looked up at her, seeing her in a new light. I didn't know that. It's not something I talk about often." She sipped her coffee. "What helps Lily? When she's missing her mother?" "Stories," I said without hesitation. "I tell her stories about Sarah, funny ones, everyday ones. It helps keep her memory alive for Lily." Eliza nodded thoughtfully. "My father did the same thing. It helped." We talked for another hour that night, about grief, about single parenthood, about the challenges of balancing work and family. It was the most personal conversation I'd ever had with her, and when she finally left, saying she had an early meeting the next day, something had shifted between us. After that night, Eliza began to stop by my office regularly. Sometimes with work questions, sometimes just to chat. She asked about Lily often, and occasionally offered suggestions for books she might enjoy or museums that had children's programs on weekends. One Friday in December, when I was working from home, Lily came down with strep throat. The doctor prescribed antibiotics, but she was miserable, feverish and in pain. I emailed Eliza to let her know I might miss a deadline on a major project. Within an hour, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, Eliza stood there holding a paper bag. "Ms. Montgomery," I said, shocked to see her on my doorstep. "What are you doing here?" "Eliza, please," she corrected me. "I brought some things for Lily." She handed me the bag. Inside was children's Tylenol, a pint of chocolate ice cream, a soft plush rabbit, and a beautifully illustrated children's book. "The ice cream will help her throat," she explained. "And the book was my favorite when I was sick as a child." I was speechless. "You didn't have to do this." "I know." She shifted slightly, suddenly seeming unsure of herself, an expression I'd never seen on her face before. "How is she doing?" "She's resting now. The fever's still high, but the doctor said the antibiotics should start working soon." Eliza nodded. "I won't keep you then. Take all the time you need. The Henderson project can wait." As she turned to leave, Lily's small voice called from inside the apartment. "Daddy? Who's there?" Eliza paused, and I found myself saying, "Would you like to meet her?" A strange expression crossed her face, nervousness. "I don't want to intrude." "You're not intruding. Come in, just for a minute." Lily was curled up on the couch, her favorite blanket wrapped around her, looking small and pale. Her eyes widened when she saw Eliza. "Lily, this is Ms. Montgomery. My boss from work." "You're pretty," Lily said with the directness only children possess. "Your hair is like Princess Merida's." Eliza smiled, a genuine, warm smile that transformed her face. "Thank you. I brought you something to help you feel better." She knelt down and showed Lily the ice cream and the book. "Will you read it to me?" Lily asked, and before I could intervene, Eliza was sitting beside her on the couch, opening the book. I stood watching in amazement as the formidable CEO of Montgomery Publishing read The Secret Garden to my daughter, doing different voices for each character and pausing to explain words Lily didn't understand. Lily was entranced, her discomfort momentarily forgotten. When Eliza finally left an hour later, after Lily had fallen asleep, she paused at the door. "Thank you," she said softly. "It's been a long time since I read that book aloud." "Thank you for coming," I replied. It meant a lot to Lily. And to me. Something passed between us then, a moment of connection that went beyond boss and employee. For a brief second, I thought she might say something more, but instead, she simply nodded and left. That night, as I tucked the blanket around my sleeping daughter, I realized with a jolt that I was developing feelings for Eliza Montgomery. Complicated, inconvenient feelings that had no place in our professional relationship. I resolved to maintain appropriate boundaries going forward. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. The company Christmas party was held at an upscale hotel downtown. I'd arranged for Mrs. Patel, our elderly neighbor who adored Lily, to babysit so I could make an appearance. As the newly promoted chief content editor, my presence was expected. The ballroom was decorated with tasteful silver and blue decorations, a massive Christmas tree dominating one corner. Colleagues in formal wear mingled, drinking champagne and sampling from the elaborate buffet. I felt out of place in my one good suit, purchased years ago for a friend's wedding and slightly too tight across the shoulders now. I was making small talk with the marketing team when Eliza entered. She wore a deep green dress that matched her eyes, her hair swept up in an elegant style that exposed the graceful line of her neck. The conversation around me faltered as everyone noticed her arrival. She made her way through the crowd, stopping to chat briefly with various department heads. When she reached our group, she greeted everyone warmly before her eyes settled on me. "Daniel. I'm glad you could make it." "Wouldn't miss it," I said, trying to ignore the way my heart rate had increased. "Lily sends her thanks for the book, by the way. She's asked me to read it 3 more times since you visited." A smile touched her lips. "I'm glad she enjoyed it. How is she feeling?" "Much better. Back to her energetic self." We chatted for a few more minutes before she was pulled away by the board chairman. Throughout the evening, I found my eyes drawn to her repeatedly, watching as she navigated the room with grace and authority. Later, as the party was winding down, I stepped out onto the hotel's terrace for some fresh air. The December night was cold but clear, the city lights spread out below like fallen stars. "Beautiful view," Eliza's voice came from behind me. She joined me at the railing, a glass of champagne in her hand. "It is," I agreed, trying not to notice how the moonlight silvered her skin. "You seemed quiet tonight," she observed. "Everything okay?" I nodded. "Just thinking about Lily. This will be our first Christmas without Sarah." Eliza was silent for a moment. "The first one is the hardest," she finally said. "My father and I went to Switzerland that first Christmas after my mother died. He thought a change of scenery would help. It didn't, really, but I appreciated the effort." "What did help?" I asked. "Time," she said simply. "And creating new traditions while honoring the old ones." She turned to face me. "What did you and Sarah usually do for Christmas?" "We'd bake cookies on Christmas Eve. Watch, It's a Wonderful Life. Sarah would read The Night Before Christmas to Lily before bed." My throat tightened. "In the morning, we'd open presents in our pajamas, then have pancakes shaped like snowmen." "Those sound like wonderful traditions to continue," Eliza said softly. "They do. But I'm not much of a baker," I admitted with a small laugh. "My cookies always turn out like hockey."